And so that's how I met Justin. Now, I'm sitting here talking to Justin and this dude now. How many times are you going to be in D.C. talking to just random white dude and he starts talking about Chuck Brown and Go-Go? He starts then starts talking about like Tony. Now, at this point, I'm looking at this dude like, I know, on camera, do we look back at this dude again? Okay?
First
Talk about Chuck Brown and Tony. 811 crew, and we are back. Jay Turner and
Ulysses Slugger Glenn.
And guess what? We're excited. We got our resident white boy 811 crew, Justin Freer from Alaska, off the bench, back in the studio with us. Encore, y'all loved him. Y'all loved him.
Sarah Palin,
we loved
Alaska.
This dude knows everything from Juneau, Alaska to Tony. We chop it up.
Tony.
Chewing whale blubber.
Well, I don't know what that tastes like, but anyway, Justin, welcome back to
Thank
the
you for having me,
brother.
Appreciate
How
it.
you feel? You happy to be back?
I'm so happy to be back.
You got some new knowledge for us to share? You got some new knowledge to share with us,
You
a new
brought some whale
perspective?
blubber with us.
You know, you keep taking me back to 7th grade. Used to be a nickname. What's up, whale blubber?
Absolutely.
You try being like Alaskan in D.C. area in the late 70s, early 80s.
So I think they know is like whale.
You know what?
I heard it all.
You win on that piece. You know, Justin is DC official. Like he's official. Like he's from the area.
Oh, me and Harold
give him area credit.
Me and Harold Ford used to cut up Lafayette back in the day.
Oh, Harold Ford Jr.
Yeah, I used to have the box on my shoulder, listen to the Kool and the Gang.
A box on you saying that Harold Ford had a box on his shoulder? Or you had no. Oh wow, there was boy. So you're saying Harold Ford? You know, we had to get Harold. He don't listen to music.
No, but
listen to rock and roll.
That man could dance.
Oh, he can dance.
He used to give great parties.
Okay.
He used to give great like CBC parties. They were great. Like,
Well, I'm going back to the 6th grade. I don't know about that.
I'm talking about when he was,
grade.
I'm talking about we were like in our late 20s. It was great. Like bringing back that he should come. Needs to be back on the hill.
But
just
how
for
did
the
you know?
parties.
But I mean, Harold Ford is a famous politician from a big political family. What was your interaction with him, Justin?
So we were 6th graders together.
There was the same. He went to.
No,
I mean, what, were y'all getting a Happy Meal together? I mean, what happened? Y'all in somebody's station? What? I mean, what? Y'all want to say?
No, we were in
team?
his mother's Datsun 280Z.
Oh, that's classic.
The
Those
old
little
one.
bucket seats in the back.
Oh wow, okay.
Well,
2+2.
So it was me, Ronald, another guy, me, Harold, another guy, Ron Saleh, and the three of us were the crew back in that year of school.
Okay.
Because then, boom, I was into Alaska for the next year.
Okay.
But back, how did we roll? We played. We had fun. We were kids. We were 6th graders. We listened to Gap Band while we were playing softball.
that.
Oh wow, drop a bomb on me.
Burn some rubber on me. Come
Burn
on.
some rubber. Okay.
Come on.
Dances at his house, sleepovers, and then, as my life always was, as soon as the school year ended or the summer ended, gone.
Oh wow. Okay.
Well, you know what? That's really interesting that you had that experience as you were younger. But if I can just fast forward real quick to even how you and I met, you know, how we were at this. So, you know, we have a shared good friend. That's a shared friend of ours, somebody that Justin has known since high school, and someone that I've known for over 20 years. We share a young lady, Kimberly, and just said, I'm going to have a luncheon and bring some cool, good people together.
Okay.
And so that's how I met Justin. Now, I'm sitting here talking to Justin, and this dude now, how many times are you going to be in D.C. talking to just random white dude, and he starts talking about Chuck Brown and Go-Go? He starts then starts talking about like Tony. Now, at this point, I'm looking at this dude like, I know, on camera. Do we look back at this dude again? Okay.
First
Talk
of all,
about Chuck Brown and Tony, and then later on, I might have to put him on the spot later. The brother started singing Tony, and the I'll Be Sure. I was like, okay, stop. But I don't want to get ahead of myself.
I feel like a zoo animal.
The only
you
thing
are talented. You got some things.
You would have lost me on the Go-Go. I'd have been like,
yes.
okay, 'cause I would have stopped talking to you at the Go-Go. I'm not a fan of Go-Go, but I went to school with people like Justin. So like,
you have to understand, if I'm 6th grade, 5th grade, and I'm here for the summer, and my father's working, I live on the hill, and
so
I'm out walking around hearing go-go music. Then I fly to Alaska like I'm in a time machine taking back the future.
Right.
Like educating people. They still thought they had metal skateboard wheels, and I brought back kryptonics and
wow,
all kinds of weird stuff. I'm like, man, you don't have to wear bell bottoms anymore, people. We're cuffing that stuff now.
Because, like, what music did they play in the lab?
What was the playlist?
I was very fortunate. My parents were very cultured in that way. My father wanted to do nothing but get out of the state when he was a kid.
Okay.
And, like, so I've recently run into a whole bunch of letters he wrote in 19 to 25 years of age. Peter, Paul, and Mary, all this stuff.
Okay.
So I got very lucky in that respect.
Okay.
But everybody else is listening to, bluegrass.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
Well, you know what? And a lot of it, that type of cultural fluidity, you and Justin, you and I have talked about, Ulysses, we've talked about that. I think one of the reasons why we're so excited to have you as a part of the 811 crew, Justin, is because I think one of the common factors that we've all had diverse childhoods. We all have a lot of friends, have been exposed to a lot of different things. And really, we were talking about for our show today is how can we all get along? Here we are all as examples of people, Slugger, you've talked about your experiences growing up in Ohio, conservative, place. I've talked about growing up in Southeast DC, Justin, Alaska, etc. What we want to talk about today is to try to understand a framework of how can we all start to get on the same page and have the type of open, honest discussions and sharing that we're having here today.
Yeah, you can, it's interesting. I always think races can mix. I think you have a problem when you have I think classes are harder to mix than races.
I would agree.
Because if you want to separate somebody, you can just say, hey, if you look at them, classes separate themselves. Like they're, these people think they're better than we are, or people look and say that, we're better than them. So, but race, you see people races can come together, they can, people play sports together, they work together, so on and so forth. You can have interracial dating, so I think it's more of a definite, I think class is what one of the bigger issues is. And then people take class and add race to it. So that's one of the in my opinion,
yeah. I also think you're after an unachievable goal.
Talk about
Not
that.
everybody's going to get along, and that should be
true. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Everyone's
but you can't hate.
Right.
That's the problem.
Right.
Disagree all you want, but respect.
Right.
The other thing I think sometimes people should realize, sometimes the person just doesn't like you. It has nothing
and
to do
that's
with you.
okay.
Right.
That's okay. Like, they just don't like you. Like,
Right.
it's not because you're black or because you're white. They just don't like you as a person. I hate to tell you that.
But how should we be talking, and I really want to delve more into this, is how should we be talking to each other, guys, right? Because the rhetoric of today is so, like, for lack of a better, no pun intended, black and white. Either you're right or you're absolutely wrong. You're either saved or you're the spawn of the devil. I really want to talk about how should we be talking to each other. Justin, you have a lot of experience. You've shared how when you were younger, et cetera, and on construction sites, you're in the construction business where there's so many different types of folks there. Before we go to break, if there are a couple things that you employ to be able to talk to all types of people, like what's a number one skill or something that you use to break the ice?
Well, I always hate the term you've got to be genuine, because that means you've got to try and be genuine. I think you either are or you aren't.
Yeah.
So it's also like, you know what, you should get some more integrity. Well, you can't just go get integrity. You either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I don't know. But for me, it's talking, it's listening, it's meaning what I say and saying what I mean. And everybody is here for a purpose, and, do what is right because it is right. That's pretty much the, structure of life. Do what is right because it is right, and everything else kind of falls into place. It's not always easy, but it's right.
But it's critical. It's critical, and thank you for bringing that up. We're going to take a break real quick and get back into this conversation. I think when we come back, we're going to talk more about these identity politics, where we can find common ground. We're talking about race, politics, finding common ground on 811 Crew. We're taking a break, and we'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
811 crew, and we are back. Jay Turner, Sluggerific in the
We're
house.
back. We're
and,
back in black.
We are, and we're having an exciting new conversation today with having our good first guest of 811 crew, Justin Freer, coming off
like
the
friends.
bench.
What's up?
He's family.
Off the bench from Alaska.
Off the
bench.
gonna shake Alaska for a while.
You know what? We were talking earlier in the segment about how we all get along, how can we all relate with different people, et cetera. And Justin and I were having some conversation about this, earlier, and you struck me, Justin, where you said something that is such a common adage that is a fact, which is, don't judge a book by its cover. Mm-hmm. A quick story that I tell you about, Justin. We were having lunch. This is maybe a couple months ago, and we're having lunch on 14th Street in DC, like uptown. Like definitely, we're having lunch in a neighborhood where, at this point in time, Justin is the only white person that we see.
Where were you guys at?
we were we were at like
Uptown.
14th and Crittenden, up across from the bus barn. So we were going into the we were going into right. Well, it is, but at the 14th Street snack shop at 12 a.m.
Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you got all the Metro people, all the locals
Workers,
coming.
yeah,
And this
yeah.
is the little snack shop.
Yeah.
This is a place where you go in there and you come out smelling like the fries, but the fries were delicious. Okay, so so we're sitting out there, we order our food and we're waiting for the fries, and this is so funny. And he and I are talking, and this black guy comes out and he just sees us sitting there and he just says, "Man, you guys seem kind of like an odd couple, or whatever, sitting there." And we looked up, and then Justin
Which
said,
is code for who's that white dude?
right, exactly. That's exactly what it was. And then Justin said, well, I tell you what, I'm going to test your DC cred or whatever. And I was like, oh God, oh boy, Justin, slow down. What's about to happen here? We're on 14th Street in DC, okay? Like, slow down. But I'm thinking it is 12:30 in the afternoon, so it's not like it's after dark or anything.
Right.
But we'll give him some latitude. So he says, Chuck Brown, don't you? And the dude was like, yeah, of course, So Justin is like, Cat in the Hat. Used to do smack. Now he does crack. He can't get back, and then points to the dude like, what comes next? Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at the dude, I'm ready to say it, and dude was like, whatever.
Survey says.
And then Justin goes, take it away. And I was like, what? So imagine me sitting there, Justin, I'm sorry, I almost needed you to tell that punchline, but it was, and I when Justin did that, I had to throw my entire rules of profiling book out the window. I was like, you shouldn't profile.
But there was about 4 seconds prior to you throwing that book out where you thought, this is the last time I'm going to see him alive.
I ain't bringing no more,
don't do that to
folks.
me, because I'll definitely lose my card. Like I really don't have a card. So the card that I kind of like.
We have your Ohioan card.
Yeah, like they just
You
kind
have your
of.
Twinsburg
I won't
card.
do that to you, Slugger. I don't know many
The
Reba
Buckeye card.
McEntire songs.
Yes, that Buckeye card.
Right,
Go
exactly.
with the Buckeye.
Exactly.
But I know hip hop and R&B, but I wouldn't know any go-go.
Well, inclusion is important, and we really, in this episode, really also have talked to some of our people about what do the folks think.
Right.
Are folks inclusive? And in this political season, we've got midterm elections coming up, and DC is a political town, right? I mean, like Detroit, their main industry, it used to be cars or is cars. Here in Washington D.C., it's politics.
Yeah.
So it's important to do that, and so with politics in mind in the nation's capital, Carmen, what is our poll question? And break something down for us a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we forgot to say Carmen is here.
You know what, Carmen?
Carmen's here.
But Carmen, do we have to say Carmen because Carmen's kind of effervescent?
Carmen's here. She doesn't have
I
her
used to
hair
a
have
out.
song,
that
probably.
with my
She
brothers and sisters.
She doesn't have her hair out, but
Not this time.
it's only special occasions. But Carmen's
Exactly.
here. Yay!
Carmen is here. Carmen, break it down from the people. Carmen is from the
You want me
streets.
to read the question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the question, our poll question is, when voting in elections, it can be presidential, local elections, do you only vote for someone with your ethnicity, race, religion, and sexuality.
That is deep.
Wow.
Yeah,
That is deep.
I'm very curious.
So we have
Me-
Carmen here,
me
who's,
too.
who's always in
I
the
hope
streets.
the people don't disappoint me on this one.
So let's see. So do people only vote?
I mean, we're not in Lexington, Kentucky. I need something. I expect some sort of progression.
Lexington,
Yikes.
Kentucky. I went to school at the University of Cincinnati.
Not Miss
Uh-oh.
McConnell. Uh-oh. Hold on now.
But I
Shots
think
fired.
y'all will be blown away by the results. You guys ready for this
Do
one?
tell.
25% said yes, and 75% said no.
Really?
Somebody's lying.
70, like just say it again. 75% of the people said no.
No, they don't vote based on ethnicity, race, sex, or gender. They don't do that. And the other said yes.
Well, you have to. Well, you know, I think that might be in this area. If most of the people voted from this area,
Valid.
that's valid. If we were in a more
Homogenous.
like if we were in Ohio, Pennsylvania,
Alaska.
Alaska, Texas.
We've never seen that.
Ohio,
Sarah Palin?
Sadly, that name you brought up.
Oh, wow.
yeah, people, you know,
Persona non grata.
but you know, one thing I always thought women would always vote for women. And that is not. That's why I think that poll
Wow.
might be.
Wow.
That's what because women
Wow.
do not
Right.
always vote for women.
And
Gotcha.
I also don't see the racial aspect of it as well, too, because there's just not that many black candidates. I mean, you think in many places, you know, there could be only one, or it could be where in some cities where all the candidates could be black. So I don't know. If
But
that,
you have to look. But even if you look at, if you take the presidential with Obama, he wasn't drafted by blacks.
okay.
So
He showing up, but we got on board real quick.
But if that question
once Hillary was out is when people were like, oh, like towards the
when
end.
people saw Michelle, that's when they
They were
was
like,
in. Okay,
okay,
don't. If
alright.
now we talk about racial inclusion, but I'm just gonna go out and say this, Justin. Now, if Barack's wife had looked like your wife,
Which
we
wife?
might have had a different
your wife
outcome.
white?
might have been 3 terms.
Ooh,
Ooh, is your wife?
What is your wife?
What,
Female.
she's a woman.
what
Right.
nationality?
Ethnicity.
Ethnicity.
She's white.
Oh, okay.
White.
Any kind of special white? Just regular white.
Just regular white.
Bethesda white, Baltimore
Italian
white,
white.
Pittsburgh
Spaniard
white.
white. You feel me?
Bethesda Kensington white.
Oh, okay.
That's good. That's good.
Have you ever dated out of your race?
Yes.
All right.
Oh wow! See, that's a
Have you?
quick fire prayer. I have, but not that much.
I have.
Well, we know you. I know you have. I've been a witness. But no, when we
Snowball dance in 9th grade doesn't count.
I have a real opportunity to be more inclusive. But
I've dated several different races.
and in DC, that's we have
No, I'm talking
such
about
everybody here.
Before I was
So
here,
But you're from Ohio.
yeah. College, college.
mean-
yeah.
now in Alaska, was it Justin? Was it
Pakistani-
only
I dated a Pakistani.
what was the
Israel,
minority profile in Alaska like? I mean, is there like the indigenous? I mean, what is the proper term for native or
Native
Alaskans?
Alaskans.
Native Alaskans. Okay.
Or by their tribe, by their Tlingit or what have you. But as far as just like Gen Pop, mostly
say Gen
white.
Pop?
Well, yeah.
Gin pop. Wow. Jail.
Prison.
We understand that. That's code language. That's code
I
language.
mean, you're
Like,
talking about natives. First of all, Alaska is a state that's got the population of Rhode Island, and it's larger than Texas and
is
Alaska,
huge.
or Texas and California together.
That's
So if you
amazing
take
perspective.
Alaska down onto the lower 48, it's the mid to west coast,
It's huge.
massive.
but less people than Rhode Island. So
It is-
you don't have population. Traffic in Juneau is too deep at a stop sign. That's it.
It is mostly. It is more.
And people bitch about it.
and aren't there more? There's more. Aren't there more men? In,
Yeah, but I think it's like 11-1.
Yeah, they
Jeez.
like bring women. They,
All right, ladies, you know where to move to.
Yeah, bring your Uggs.
There was a show about. There was this some show that was talked about Alaska. That's how
I hate every one of them.
Why
All
have I
of
watched
them.
them?
And there's something
Every
about
one
it.
of
There
them.
was a plane show where where the mail plane would fly in. What was that? Wasn't that a show? Uh oh.
Well,
See, I'm getting in
Yeah,
trouble.
yeah, we're like-
First of all, wait a minute. Jason Turner should not be talking about
No TV.
sitcoms
Yeah,
or TV
there's
shows.
no TV shows.
Yeah.
You also sounded like a dinosaur. They're playing male flu.
Yeah,
Like what?
Yeah, I should get my
Sew
stuff
together a
before I should Google it or something before I do that. But Justin, one more thing, I wanted to ask you this also off the bench too. I recalled that one of your in-laws is black, right? Like
Yes,
you have a
my
family
brother-in-law.
member, your brother-in-law.
Oh, okay.
Now, was that
yeah.
guess who's coming to dinner? I mean, like, how did that? Did anybody? Real talk. No one even noticed that a black dude came in the crib. I mean, like, it was just like, because if I bring a white girl into my family, the conversation is not going to cold stop. But people are gonna have to act like they're still talking while looking up. Like, did Jason just walk in here with a white girl? That would be like just real talk.
Which is interesting. I think in the black community, it's much bigger. Like I think in the white,
I would agree.
I think in the white community, white families, you already either the family accepts it or they don't. So they're not going to bring a racist family is not going to bring. That's not going to happen.
So you feel like these days the kids are more likely to be down. They're more likely to be down with what their family is doing. Like, so you're saying?
I don't think it's that black and white.
Okay,
It's not. But you kind of know who. If your family's accepts that, then you're going to do those things. If you're like in a black family, you kind of know like, I need to tell them that,
In some black families, not all. I mean, like, and I find out people, it's so much more progressive. Like when I look at my daughter now, my 17-year-old daughter.
When we were growing up, yeah. But now I see like my nephew and, even my son's friends, everyone is dating. It's not a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a big thing at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I think since I'm not a millennial anymore, that
There we go.
my father was a millennial.
We don't fit.
Never
That's
were
not
you a
our
millennial.
genre. Nor would I ever want to be that.
All right, but hey, I guess we gotta wrap up. We gotta pay the bills.
We do have to pay some bills. Here.
But we will be back, and we'll have Justin. We'll have Carmen. Will you be here when we come back?
No,
Carmen's
no.
leaving. Carmen's got to get back to the streets.
I'm going back to Gin Pop.
Gin Pop. All right.
and thank you very much,
I'll
Carmen,
send
for
a cake.
always putting us down with streets. I mean, I think that those results were somewhat kind of could be expected based on the demographics of DC.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'd be more interested at another question. A question I would have, for either later in this segment or others is, if outside of work. Do any of us have any close current friends of another race or culture outside of work? Because a lot of times you'd be like, I got that work friend or whatever, but outside of work, a current close friend of another race or culture. Maybe we can chop that up for a little bit when the 811 crew returns.
All right, we'll be back.
811 crew, we are back and we are chopping it up about some good stuff today. We are getting to the real deal about how we interact, how we build community, how we build friends. We've got Justin Freer off the bench with us today, giving us that Caucasian expanded perspective, the perspective of the majority.
They're the majority. Yeah.
Now in the DC area,
true?
we're kind of half and half. It's it used to be the chocolate city, but now it's it's a little more diverse.
It's a little milky.
It's a Milky Way.
It's like caramel.
Yes, indeed.
It's like Caramel City.
But you know what? But we agree that having diverse friends, friends, etc., perspective is critical, especially in this day and age. Is this so much divisiveness. People are just not together. But I asked y'all a question before we went to a break, and I'm very curious about this, and that's the notion of, a lot of us might have white friends, black friends, whatever friends of a different culture, race at work. And I'm wondering, I just want to ask this esteemed panel here, outside of work, do you have any close current friends of another race or culture, outside of work?
Yes.
For sure.
For sure. Wow, really?
Actually, I have. One of my friends that lives here, I've known him since junior high. Since like junior high. They have another white friend who lives in Dallas.
Okay.
He's like actually my first best friend.
Now, was he in the Winnebago trip? Because we know Justin was in the Woody station wagon with Harold Ford Jr. Were you in the Winnebago
So my friend
with Curtis?
So my friend Mike. His dad actually worked for A&M Records.
Oh,
so
had
we
33s and the 45s.
So I remember we would go to like promos at record stores. I remember I met like Brothers Johnson and different people like who were at A&M Records and stuff like A&M Records is Herb Alpert and Chuck Mangione.
So you met the white musical groove. You met the musical groove of Cleveland through your white friend Michael.
Yeah.
That's tight. That's tight.
And we're still good friends.
That's tight.
Yeah, he actually watches the show.
Okay.
Chuck Mangione can get it.
Okay. Now, see, and I ain't gonna lie. I don't even know who Chuck.
You don't?
I don't know who Chuck Mangiano's in. Or Chuck. What'd you say?
Chuck Mangione.
I'm sorry, Mangione. I'm sorry. I sluggered it. I sluggered the word.
This is crazy.
I sluggered the word.
We gotta get you. You know who Hall? Do you know who Hall and Oates are?
I know who Daryl Hall and John Oates are. Of course, don't see. Sometimes you take it too far. But before you go too far
Do
again,
you know who Joan Jett is?
I do not know offhand who Joan Jett is. See, you just trying to embarrass me now. Can we go to the poll question? We have in the shoebox, baby. See,
Jett.
I know about stuff. I just not know the proper noun associated with that. Can you give us a break?
It's forgiven.
Come on, we're supposed to have a poll question. Can we stay on the rim? Stop trying to embarrass me.
Okay. So, all right, for our poll question we're putting out here is, with the pandemic, since the pandemic, have you gone back to in-person doctor visits? Have you tried telehealth?
The telehealth piece.
Yeah. If yes, do you like this more than in person? So basically the question is, do you prefer going to see a doctor in person or do you like doing telehealth?
Yeah,
it's up to you.
That's interesting.
Because they still charge you the same amount. So,
can we talk about this now, real quick, before we go? Or we go? Okay, yeah. Because I mean, we can. Okay, thank you. The production crew said we can chop this up.
Okay.
A little bit. I think that's really critical.
Yeah, I think it is too. I mean,
I like the telehealth. I mean,
No way.
I don't like
really?
that for my physical.
No, I don't like it for my physical. Before my monthly conversation with my psychiatrist, it works extremely well.
So how does that
I'm the
one
only
part
one
of the
with
physical happen? Telehealth.
There's none of this.
Like what kind of app do you have?
You're not going to get the. You're not going to get. You're not
Damn.
going to get the finger.
And that would be the
telehealth.
It would be the Nokia phone.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna do it yourself?
I'm just saying, but you can have me. But on a Teams call, you can have a very like. I'm surprised in church they're not doing confession by teleconfession.
Sure, wish they were. I'd probably do it more often.
Yeah, maybe right. Let me get online and confess what I did right now. I'm gonna do this right now.
I think that's what Facebook is.
Well,
people confess on Facebook a lot.
Well, we got a lot more. Look, we got to wrap this conversation up. This has been a great conversation today. It'll be a lot more.
Awesome
we got to have more Justin Freer off the bench. We like him.
Bring it back.
Alaskan.
Bring me back, people.
Can you bring some salmon, some wild caught salmon with you? Never mind.
I wish I'd never said Alaska.
Yo.
But you know what? We should do our show from Alaska. Like when they have like the 16 hours of darkness.
We should. They could.
I mean,
but for a lot. But for right now, 811 crew,
we're out.
We're out.
Let's go, pick your feet up though. Let's go, pick your feet up though.